Good morning, Jawitz Properties, and welcome to a mindset of abundance on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday, lovely summer, wintry kind of morning. So the objective of today's session is to really get us all thinking in a mindset of abundance. And what does that mean? So, if you have a look next, just to go to the slide, Kerry's helping me because I was scared to do the slides and then I would look at the chats and then the slides would go off. So Kerry, thank you always for your assistance. It's very much appreciated. So the Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary and thesaurus definition of abundance is an amount that is more than enough. So my thinking and my feeling is that you can never have enough, and especially of soul mandates, which is very much part of our theme today. Since May is the theme of May Madness Mandates, it's quite apt to discuss this today, and going back to the abundance of never having enough. You can never have enough. Our mindsets have to really start thinking, and we need to start training our brains on what does the mindset of abundance actually mean. So I haven't prepared a slide on this. I'm going to share some information for the next 10 minutes or so. And I just want you to write copious notes if you can, because I find also if there's too much that's actually shared on the presentation, then it's just too easy to look at. So I really want you to train your brains and think today. And I'm using an analogy of abundance versus scarcity. And I want to see, where do you think you fit in to this table of abundance and of scarcity? So, and it's important to actually now take inventory on where we're holding, because what happens is if we live a life of scarcity and thoughts of scarcity and not thoughts and a mindset of abundance, then apropos that song that we played, money, 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 well, you're never really going to live in that rich man's world. And what I loved about that song as well is it was, I work all night, I work all day to pay the bills I have to pay. Ain't it sad? Not really. It's sad that if you are working all night and all day and not making money, then there's something wrong. And that's why we're here today, to create this mindset of abundance, and also which we'll discuss later on, which talks, as Herschel brought up and we've brought up over the many years, that talks to heart, head and hands. So someone said absolutely, abundance isn't only money, 100%, it's health, it's love, of course. But to be candid, if I may say, to Lolly who put that on, absolutely, it's not only money, but when you're going for the soul mandate close and you're unable to close, it is about the money, because whether you are healthy or in love, the seller doesn't really care. So that's where my thinking is. Abundance absolutely is not only money, but let's be real. I would say that of the 86 participants, and I've asked this question, if you could just type in yes or no, because I'd like to just get a sense and a feel. Do you all do this job for love, or do you do it for money? So I'm just curious to see it. Won't you just send your answers through and we can just see? Tell me if you do this job for love or money, and don't say both, because obviously you have to love what you do and obviously you have to look after your clients, but you're in it for the money. Yeah, already there's about, thank you so much. There's about 28 so far. Definitely to earn the living and the money. Yeah, so as long as we're kind of all on the same page, I thought so. Thank you so much. If you love it, Cheryl, the money will come, absolutely, but you need more than love, Cheryl. You need action, you need strategy, you need, yeah, it's bigger than that. I hear you and I'm not disagreeing on that, but it's all about action, mindset, abundance thinking. So let's take this thinking now of scarcity and of abundance. So let's look at a point of view is point number one. So a person who has a scarcity mindset, a scarce mindset and a point of view will always, they're checked out. They are the victim of life. they are just checked out. A person who has a mindset of abundance, they're in the driver's seat. So as a point of view, this person with the scarce thinking is already checked out, and the person with an abundant mindset is in the driver's seat, ready to go. If you look at it on different kinds of energies, so if you look at it as a physical energy of scarcity, of a scarce mindset versus an abundant mindset. A scarcity would be your physical body of what it actually is, your energy. So your body will be contracted, your shoulders will always be tense. So think of yourself in negotiations and think of yourself in your personal life of how you speak to people, how your posture is. You have a clenched jaw and you're short of breath. A person with an abundant mindset is relaxed. They've got an expansive posture. They are rooted. They are balanced. They are present. They are present in the moment. The person that they are engaging with can see that they are very, very present in the moment, and their breath becomes deep and their breath becomes even. So who are you on a physical energy point of view? Are you that person with the hunched shoulders, with the shortness of breath, with the things that I've explained, or are you the total opposite, where then you are in the mindset of abundance? So that's interesting. So that's to think of a physical energy. Now we'll look at an emotional energy, where we look at a mindset of scarcity and a mindset of abundance. So on an emotional energy point of view, the person who has the scarcity thought process, they are always frustrated. So are you one of these people who's frustrated, impatient, anxious, fearful, overwhelmed, feeling powerless all the time and giving your power to the other person in the room? So what is your mindset on an emotional energy point of view? The person who has the abundant mindset on the emotional energy will feel empowered. They will feel engaged. They will feel a sense of positivity. They like working on something bigger. They're ambitious. They want to better themselves. They are energized. They're excited about the task at hand. That's an important one, hey, being excited at the task at hand, because often what happens is your clients will sense that, do you really want to be there? And are you excited about that task at hand? And also you are excited about the challenges that you are facing. So again, who are you? Do you fall into that mindset of scarcity, or do you fall into that mindset of abundance? The last energy I'd like to allude to is your mental energy. So the person with the scarcity mindset in the mental energy is very disorganized, is very confused, is very narrow in their thinking. They're not prepared to broaden their horizons. They're very much black and white, blinkers on, very narrow in your thinking, and only focused on what's not working. So we'll look for all the excuses of sellers just aren't signing soul mandates. All the agents in the area are taking 3% brokerage. There's no room for flexibility. The typical thought pattern is for that mental energy of scarcity is, I have no choice. So do you fall into that category, or do you fall into the category of abundant thinking, where you've got the feeling of clarity, the ability to perceive multiple angles, to listen actively and notice what others are not perhaps seeing? You're flexible, you have massive adaptability, like a chameleon, which we often speak about. Your typical thought pattern is, I always have a choice. I always have a choice. And you are non-judgmental and you are non-assuming. it's kind of like a beginner's mind. You know, it sounds crazy, but this mindset of abundance, why do I say it's like a beginner's mind? Because when you start something, think about when you started in real estate, or you didn't know what to expect from something in your life. You were always much more hungry, much more enthusiastic, much more open to learning, much more willing. And I believe the longer we're in something, we forget about that beginner's mind. And that beginner's mind is definitely a mindset of abundance. Is this making sense? If there's like a bit of a gaggle of goosey moment or a light bulb moment, just like type in a line and say, wow, I love that, or I don't agree with that. And just always nice to feel like Shirley Valentine. I was saying to Bridget earlier, you know, do you remember that movie? I loved it, from the 90s, where she left her husband and drilled off to Greece, and she sat on the beach and she said, hello, rock, because like people just weren't listening to her. I know you're listening, and I know there's 89 of you that are taking notes, but it's just always so awkward I can just see myself really on the screen, and Kerry and Bridget's unmuted in their names. So it's just always nice to know if there's any light bulb moments or anything. Thank you so much, Keely. I totally agree. Sometimes I wonder if it's not best to know anything yeah, about the current market. You know what they say, Keely, ignorance is bliss. So sometimes, and that's why, you know, I bring up this beginner's mind in the abundance, in the mindset of abundance, because we were all so eager, and we were all so innocent and so flexible. And yeah, it's just something to really, really think about. And moving forward throughout our training and throughout our careers, in your real estate life and your personal world, this mindset of abundance, and Herschel brought it up, and I'm in total agreement with it, is that's where we've got to go. That's where we've got to aim to. Because think about your days. I like that, Glenn. Absolutely. When you get lost, get back to basics, 100%, you know. And I love when you say when you get lost, because a lot of us do find ourselves getting lost. You know, we've had a very intense year and a half with COVID-19, and we've done really, really well against all these odds, and we continue to do well, and we've all managed on an emotional and a business plane. And it's very much just the basics of real estate and the basics of life. You know, it's very much that. Okay, cool, Care. Let's have a look at the next slide. So I just want to, because it is covering us. Let me just try and move this chat thing. I have to come back to it in a moment. So guys, I've put this slide. So I remember when I started at Jawitz, wow, it's only 7 years ago. I can't believe it. And I remember standing in that training room at head office, and I asked the following question, and it really resonates, and what sticks in my mind, and I resonate with it even today, is I asked the following question a few times in the sessions, and I was quite surprised by the answer. And if some of you remember going back as long as that with me on this journey, I asked a lot of you, which one would you rather have? And some of you will remember, would you rather have 7 soul mandates that are very, very, very saleable and real reasons for selling? And I'd love to actually just see the answer on the group, because I haven't met a lot of you, and some of you are quite new, and some of you hadn't been to training then, or, you know, maybe you've forgotten. So tell me if you would choose the A or B. So A would be, if I was your genie and I would say to you, listen, guys, here's 7 soul mandates with real reasons for selling, and they seem to be priced right. Would you rather have those 7? So that's the A. Or would you rather have B, 25 soul mandates of a mixture of iffy, wishy-washy, if I get my price, I'll sell, etc. So won't you, and what I love about this is only the panelists can see the answers. So I just want to see. So it's so interesting to see the answers. So Glenn Goldberg answered correctly because he remembers from 7 years ago. So well done, Glenn. And well done to Sophie Calara from our Bedford View office. I love Carmen. You're the fence sitter, Carmen. You go A and then B for backup. I love that. So I can see the people that have been in training with me and the ones that not. So the answer is not B. So for those of you who answered B, bang, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. Sorry, I mean A. Sorry, yeah, no, A. I'm getting so confused. The answer is B. The answer is B. The answer is, it's not A. You want 25 soul mandates. And this is the abundant thinking. So for those of you who have answered that you only want 7 is such a limit. It is such a limiting, already your mindset is not, and thank you for being honest. It's not to pick you out at all, and no one can really see your names. But it's really, really honest. And no, don't worry, dear. You don't have a lot to learn. We all do. And I'm going to explain to you what my thinking is around this abundant thinking, is that you've got to understand people's reasons for selling changes, okay? And today, the sellers are not, they're just genuine. I mean, they're not genuine, they're serious. So if I get my price, I'll sell. And then tomorrow they either get divorced, or God forbid someone passes away, or there's financial issues and their circumstances change. So surely your mindset of abundance has to want 25 soul mandates because situations change. Don't limit yourself to only 7, because of those 25, the phone's going to ring more. There's going to be an abundance of buyers or tenants if they rental properties calling you. You're going to make the pool of opportunity a lot bigger than limiting yourselves to 7. And that's what we do as human beings, you know. So blonde moment, don't worry. And it is a light bulb moment. Thank you so much, because you've got to think abundantly. And today they're serious and tomorrow they're genuine. And if you're not there, you see, here's the thing. If you don't sign the mandate today and you keep it on open listing because they're not in a rush and they become genuine tomorrow, you don't have the mandate. It leads to the second part, and none of you have really said anything about it or alluded to it, so I'm going to bring it up. Why a lot of people disagree with me and challenge me is they say, Joel, it's too much responsibility. How do you service 25 clients? Well, guys, if that was in your mind, there we go. Thank you. Someone's just said, I worry about servicing. Thank you so much. Tell me if I'm allowed to say who you are, because these are top agents. And I'm so glad you said it, because it didn't come from me. It came up at the same thing. Thank you. Okay, so Jen and Justin, who are excellent agents, I've got so much respect for, from Randburg under Innes Wilson's management and leadership and mentorship, who do really, really well. Worry about servicing. And thank you for sharing your vulnerability. I think it's so important that we all share and be transparent. Woolworths don't limit how much stock they have on their shelves. A mechanic is not going to turn away people if he has 25 people in a line to come and have their car serviced. He's not going to turn around and say, listen, I only really worked out timing for 18, go somewhere else. So servicing is not about, servicing is about communication. I think we've had this conversation many times before, because it's about taking on the mandate. It's about working the property, and I won't discuss this too long because this was the last training on price adjustments. It's about taking on the soul mandate. It's about saying to the seller, it's optimistic, but we'll give it a fighting chance. It's about getting feet through the door. It's about giving constant feedback. It's about discussing price adjustments. And if after 2 or 3 months there's no movement and they don't want to adjust, you can always give it back. But surely you would rather have 25 soul mandates on your books with 25 for sale boards in your area. It's all about perception. So here you at Jawitz Properties have got 25 for sale boards. Any person who has an iota of a thought of selling in your farm area, who drives out and sees all these boards in the area, is you're going to be one of those agents to come in for an interview, to be interviewed to see if they're going to give you their home or not. But if you've only got 7, you are again limiting yourself. And there comes the mindset. And you know, what does the mechanic do when he's got these 25 cars that are parked outside his garage in the next hour for a service? and he's only got 2 staff members, well, then perhaps because business is so good, thank God, he's got to now employ, or she's got to now employ another 2 people. Maybe your team's too small. Maybe you've got to employ someone to assist you. There's always these solutions, but to go and limit your thinking and to go and limit your business, I've never resonated with that. I've always thought big. I've always been hysterical if I've ever had under 18 listings, and at the moment we're sitting with so little. Good question, Jen and Justin. What about 10 exclusive and 10 open? So just elaborate about your question, because I would prefer 20 exclusive, but hey, if those 10 don't want to sign a SAR mandate, of course you take them on. Guys, there is risk involved. This job is huge risk. Life is huge risk. When you drive out into the roads today in this crazy world and crazy life, it's all about risk. There's no safe bets. I always share with you that beautiful anonymous saying that ships are safe in a harbor, but that's not what ships are for. So you can be safe by sitting at home, but there'll be no business to be done. If you're scared of confrontation, you don't have to see clients, but then there'll be no business. So you'll be safe and you'll feel happy, but there'll be no business. So just, Jen, are you saying to me, when you're saying, what about 10 exclusive and 10 open, just elaborate on that? Annette, open can become exclusive if you prove yourself. Absolutely, Annette. I mean, Annette, who's part of my team and Laureen's team, wrote the most sensational, and I wanted to actually put it on, but we didn't get a chance to do it. The most sensational email letter to a client who lives, I think, in London or wherever, she managed to secure. I think I'm going to try and actually find it. I think, Annette, you might have actually sent it to Kerry. So I'm not sure, Kerry, if you did receive it. If you did, it would be absolutely awesome. And I think she might have actually sent it to you. So I see there's a bit of a change. So we'll have a look in a moment. It might actually even be there. But it was the most amazing letter that just convinced this client overseas to, there we go, fantastic. Thank you so much. You got it done, you champions. And it just was the most amazing letter, which I actually want to read. I just want to move this over to the side so I can see it. So good morning here. This was from Annette, who's a qualified agent, and she assists us with our admin and everything. And this is just really lateral thinking, and just sent the letter. Good morning, Kia. Thank you for getting back to me. It is really in your interest to allow us an exclusive mandate to sell your home. Open mandates leave the property open to exploitation, because there are only a fixed number of buyers in the market in a certain price range at any given time, and buyers are notified of listings within that price range. There is no exclusivity of buyers per agency. The danger is, of course, that you may be open to pay 2 sets of commission, because, as often happens, the husband will set up an appointment with the one agent, and then during the course of the day, the wife views with another agent. Then they decide to buy, and there's an argument over the effective cause of sale. However, with a mandate, we are open to work with other agents should they have a serious buyer and they want to view. So that was brilliant, because it kind of opened up to say, listen, Kia, if someone has a genuine buyer, they must just call us and we are willing to share. So that was point number 1, brilliant. When there are open mandates, the agents are working against each other to make a sale, instead of the agent creating competition between the buyers to get you the best possible price. Also, you are in control as to the advertised price of the property, because often different agents advertise at different prices on the same property, and it creates confusion as to what is honestly going on. We will also give 100% commitment and spend money on professional photographers. You'll be kept updated on an ongoing basis. Joel Harris is actually 31 years. I'm not that old, Annette, for 35 years, and has been a top agent with Jawitz. His partner at Jawitz is Laureen Shelpert, who will take clients out to view when he's unable to. You'll receive feedback after each appointment. Should you feel that you're not happy with the service you're receiving, you can give us a written notice. I love that, because that is real conviction. That is sheer conviction to say, listen, if you are not happy with what we are producing, give us written notice and we'll give you back the mandate. That's how confident we are that we are going to deliver. Please give us the opportunity to prove that we are committed to getting you the best price that the market will pay at any given time. When one of us is not available, you have two other agents in the picture. I look forward to you giving us a chance. Have a lovely day, kindest. I mean, it was just phenomenal. It was a beautiful letter. I'm laughing. Annette sends a message the other day. Oh, he wants to cut our brokerage. I went, what? What a surprise. A seller wanting to cut brokerage. No, that's a first. So I thought, oh, all right, maybe we'll have to do it at like 5 or 5.5. What does he want to cut to? 6.5. I said, all right, we tell him after much consideration, we'll agree to that. So it just was like such a different kind of letter for a change, and they're coming from a different thinking. I'm getting bored with my letters. And what I loved about it, as I say, was that it just was, you're not happy with us, give us notice, you can have it back. So we're confident we'll get the job done. So kudos to you, Annette Joffe. So Justin and Jen, they asked that question, what about 10 exclusive and 10 open? So giving our heart and soul to 10 exclusive and try and move them open to exclusive. Of course, guys, absolutely. I mean, I'm certainly don't advise any of you in this current market, and we'll talk about stock in a moment, to ever walk away from open mandates, especially if a seller has a real reason for selling. So as Annette said, open can become exclusive if you prove yourself, and Justin and Jen have said, try and move the open to exclusive, and we're going to allude to that a little bit later. But absolutely, the real focus is to list like listing machines with this mindset of abundance. And while you are listing and trying to sell them, to romance the seller in order to convert open to sold, which we'll chat about later. Kez, won't you share the two polls if you don't mind? We'll go back to that slide in a moment. So we're going to just put up a poll on the screen, and if you guys could just spend 1 minute and if you could just answer it, and then we'll check the results, and then just have a kind of a brainstorming session as to a strategy, to a way forward to create more abundance. So who agrees with the statement? You either agree or you disagree. The more listings you have, the more you will sell, rent, and earn. I mean, that's obviously a logical a logical question. So just give you 30 seconds. So the more listings you have, the more you will sell or rent if you are rental agents, and then obviously you will make all that money. Okay, cool. Answer that. Another 10 seconds, Kev, and we can just tally the votes. Okay. I mean, I can't believe that one person would even disagree with that. So 2% disagree and 98% of you agree. So my question is as follows, if you all agree, excuse me, and you can put the answer into the chat, if you all agree that that's the route to go, why is it that, unless you do, I mean, some of you could feel that you have enough listings. I never, ever, as an agent of 31 years, ever feel whatever I have is enough. It's never enough for me and my team. It's just never, ever enough, because when you sell them, you're having less now to sell. You have to have your shelves packed and packed and packed. It's got to become an obsession. I was taught that at the Green Company in 1992, is that just this absolute sheer obsession with stock. And I've lived those values throughout my real estate career. Enough is never enough, absolutely. So why is it, do you think, if you think just alluding now to the head, the heart, and the hands, so when we talk about the head, does it make business sense? It's the logical side of thinking. So your head will say, well, logically, you need a minimum of, let's say, 25 listings and X amounts of sold mandates, which we'll talk about. The heart is what actually stops us from engaging in this mindset. What do you think stops us? I'd love to get your feedback, guys, when we allude now to the heart of it all. What is actually stopping us from engaging in this thinking? The heart. What do you think it is? Lolly, fear. But fear of what, sweetheart? So I hear that word all the time, you know, fear, I'm scared, but I would be more fearful. I would be more fearful not having an abundance of stock than having an abundance of stock. Just and Jen, I would be more fearful of not having enough clients to so-called service. So stunning. I love that, Lolly. Fear of failure. Absolutely. Colleen, brilliant. The lack of confidence is very much a real part of all of this. Michaela, love it. Keeps getting to a no. Rude sellers on the phone. Sure. Sometimes, Annette, we are too judgmental on price, condition. We limit ourselves. Absolutely. Well, I don't want it because it's too high in price and it's never going to sell. Susan, we feel sometimes perhaps we don't have the capacity, which is not really true. Non-efficient, time management, laziness. Thank you. Beautiful, real answers that kind of stops us, active competitors in the area. So just to counter these objections, if I may, for a minute or two. So competitors in the area, sure, there's always competition, and competition's really, really healthy. Competition's really healthy. I think for those ambitious agents on this group, which is of 100 people, I would imagine 80%, competition's lekker. I think if there's no competition, it becomes boring. Isn't it an amazing feeling where everybody's got their for sale boards, and you sell a house and you go and you knock your sold board in on the pavement, and if it's a corner house, you put two. Gives you like a great feeling. There's a Jewish term, a Yiddish term called nachas. It's like pleasure. Gives you that great feeling of pleasure. So competition's really, really good. People are rude on the phone a lot, and people will continue to be rude. We just don't take it personally. So remember, when a client is rude, it's often their own issues, that you must rather put them in a bubble and bless them with condolence in your mind. They're coming perhaps from a position of desperation, of really having to sell, not wanting to sell. And obviously the agent, unfortunately, we are there on this journey, will have to take. So I've got a lovely saying in life, and I haven't shared it on this group. I've shared it with my agents in Bedford View. In life, you need to eat a lot of humble pie, but you never have to eat shit. And that just encompasses so much in your personal journeys and your business journeys. And I've got it written up on my wall. In life, I do eat a lot of humble pie, but I will never, ever eat shit. Fear of failure, the busier you are, the more you're going to fail. So in my office, my agents that do the most amount of sales have the most amount of deals fall through, because that's logical. I get the most complaints about those agents because they do the most amount of business, which is fantastic. So this fear, you are going to fail a lot if you are busy. You're going to have rude clients in abundance if you are really, really busy. So one has to build your confidence levels. You have to build your knowledge, your tools that you use, and your product knowledge, and get into this mindset of abundance and stop taking things personally. Because a lot of my clients are rude, and a lot of my agents' clients are rude. And I find that when you are nicer to the person, they then come down to a more decent level. So you never have to accept abuse, but don't fight fire with fire. Fight fire with kindness. And often that person will then be okay. Remember, their circumstances are making them edgy. Okay, so thank you for answering the heart, like what stops us from engaging, and that's really real. Thank you very much. And then you know, the fear factor. There was what Herschel calls the fear factor is, as you all said, not answering the phones, rudeness, not able to service the properties, the fear of failure, the lack of confidence. I love it. And the hands is, how do we actually take all of this and get it into action, which we'll talk about in a moment. So Kez, let's have a look, please. If we can look now at poll number 2, and let's just have a look at the second poll. That's going to link to everything that we are saying now, which is great. And I'm just looking at the time because we're really trying to keep to a structure, and so far we're really doing amazingly well. So how many of you feel that you are market makers in terms of having enough listings? So before you answer that question, just to discuss, and I actually meant to ask you what you interpreted as a market maker, and there is a slide. So Kay, let's hold that poll for now, because we want to just go on to the next slide and discuss this market making, if you don't mind. Sorry, sweetheart, if you can just take that off, I'd be grateful. Thank you so much. I'm going to move this over because, again, it's blocking the screen. Okay, cool. So let's have a look now. So we just move this. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, so when I said, why is it that we simply don't have enough listings? A lot of you have discussed the reasons of where your heart talks to. And what stops us from taking on the mindset of never having enough? Well, nothing should really stop you. Let's go to the next slide, Keir, and just look at the market maker versus the market taker. Okay, so, you know, okay, sorry, go back, Keir. We'll go that slide. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me, so I didn't know what was there. So being a market maker is creating your own market. So irrespective of circumstances and irrespective of what's going out there, whether it's COVID-19, where the interest rates are 7%, 14%, whether there's no stock, lots of stock, no buyers, lots of buyers, all that's irrelevant. You've got to create your own market. And what creates markets is activity. We alluded to it in our Bedford View meeting on Tuesday. I asked my agents, and Noreen Shelpert came up with the most amazing answer, where it was your SOI, which is your sphere of influence. So you need to be tapped into your SOI, to your sphere of influence in your farm areas. What does that mean in a nutshell? It means that you've got to be connected to your schools and to your religious organizations and to your ratepayers associations, and just to be in your community, so people know Rumpelstiltskin or Cinderella who works for Jawitz Properties. It's about making your market and driving your market, not waiting for the phone to ring, for a seller to phone you. It's about sitting every day and getting your 1 to 31s up to date. It's about phoning existing sellers on the market, like, hello, hi, is that Mr. Harris? Yes, it is. Hi, it's Joel Harris from Jawitz Properties. I see you on the market. Have you sold yet? Now remember, a genuine seller will have the conversation with you. A seller who's iffy, who's not really genuine, who's just serious, might be rude and say, nah, I don't need you, whatever. Then they're not genuine. A genuine seller or a genuine landlord will have that conversation with you. And your job as a real estate agent, as a consultant, is to follow up your 1 to 31s religiously, daily, to find out exactly what stock is on the market and when do these mandates expire, if there are mandates. Because as we're sitting here, I'm going to pose this interesting thought and question to all of you. It's the middle of May. If people sign mandates to a month ends, in 2 odd weeks' time, or 2.5 weeks' time, my question to all of you, and don't have to answer on the group, you know the answer. How many of those sole mandates are coming to an end at the end of May? Number one, in your area, all the properties on the market. And number two, have you phoned every single client, seller who's on the market to find out if there's a mandate? Because if you haven't, as we are sitting here in training and there's an open listing in your area, there are other agents phoning buyers trying to get them in and you don't know. So a market taker sits back and waits for clients to call them. A market maker actions their business. So when you leave us training today, I want you to go reassess and revalue your 1 to 31 books and files, spreadsheets, however you do them. And if you are not up to date, I suggest you get up to date and get in touch with every single seller that's on the market, because some of them are on open mandates and you just could have that buyer on your books. So Kate, let's have a look at that poll now that we've introduced being this market maker and creating our own markets, creating abundance of activities that will hopefully lead to results. Let's just have a look at this. So that was the first one. And then let's have a look at the second poll, sweetie. Okay, cool. Let's have a look there. Sorry, Sham, I'm getting you all going back and forward and forward and back. Cool. So how many of you feel you are market makers in terms of having enough listings, in terms of the stuff that we've spoken about, of being in touch with, being that sphere of influence and being in touch with your sphere of influence in the area? So your answer is yes, I am. It's an unequivocal yes, I am. It's an unequivocal no, I'm not. And be real. This is not to berate anyone. I just want to see of the 100 odd people of what I'm dealing with, of where we kind of holding at Jawitz Properties at the moment. So yes, I am. No, I'm not a market maker, or I'm kind of an in-between market maker. And it's in terms of enough listings and also in terms of tapping in to your sphere of influence. I think it's a combination of both, because if you're not known in your area and you don't know what's going on, you're never really going to have enough listings. And remember, enough is never enough. Okay, cool. So let's give it another 15 seconds, Kiers, and then we'll have a look at the results. I'm quite actually interested to see, because this is like across the country. I mean, I've got a good feeling throughout the branches in Gauteng and Cape Town, but I don't know across the country. So I'm quite curious to see what it is. Okay, let's have a look, Kez. Okay, let's see the results and see what's come up there. Okay, let's see. So thank you for being honest. I really, really appreciate that. So 7% of you are market makers. So 4 of you of the group of 100. No, I'm not, of 46%. So you know that you're not. Awesome. And what's amazing is when you recognize your weakness, there's only one way to go, and that's up. So you can only grow and do better than where you're holding at the moment, because the first hurdle or challenge is accepting and having an awareness of where your weakness is, and the power comes in is to turning it into a strength. So thank you. I'm so glad to see that 46% didn't say I am a market maker, because when we look at the figures, we can see that there's a lot of non-market makers, and 46% are in between. So I'm interested to see that 46 are not. You were quite definite about that. So just ask yourself the following question, then what are you going to do now to change that? Apropos what we discussed. And I can tell you, if you're prepared to put in the time, the effort, and the energy, and go to these 1 to 31s that we sound like broken records every month, telling you follow up the existing stock, find out if there's a sole mandate, you will be amazed at the domino rally of results. It just logically, it's got to happen. The more you put in, the more you're going to get out. It's kind of like an insurance policy. It pays dividends. And canvassing, networking, prospecting, all the things we spoke about, just to really, really up your game. And what comes in this is to take on open listings. Yes, it is a risk. It's a huge, huge risk to you, but you've got to, as Annette alluded to earlier as well, and I think somebody else, is that take on, I've always had the mindset and belief system of just list, and then do your best to turn those open mandates into soul. Huge risk. Someone might come along and pip you at the post, and you just move on. It's never a waste. You're going to pick up new buyers from those listings, but you have to have that mindset, as we said, of abundance, and mindset of scarcity. I'm not going to mention your names. I would just also like to get a sense and a feel when I spoke to you earlier about where you fitted in on all those different energies, on the physical energies, the emotional energies, the mental energies. Would you say your mindset is one of scarcity or abundance? I won't mention your name because only the panelists can see this. No one else can see this. I just want to get a sense of who's currently in the mindset of scarcity, which is probably the bulk of the people, I would imagine, because sometimes we just can't find a way out and we can't seem to see the solution, you know. Okay, great, someone's in the mindset of abundance. It's not sadly scarcity, anonymous, it's honest. Thank you for being honest. Definitely abundance, stunning. Scarcity, but I'm trying to change my mindset. So trying, you need to define what is trying. What have you actually done that you could write down as an evidence to show that you are doing more to shift that mindset? Our entire office in a mindset of scarcity. Thank you so much for being open and honest. Working hard on abundance. Again, working hard. What are you doing? So, and I'm giving you a little bit of a hard time. It's kind of, I always use the diet and the food analogy. So I want to lose a couple of Ks I've picked up. So what am I doing every day? I'm eating crap. And I'm just not losing the weight. So I'm not trying. And I keep on saying I'm trying. That's not trying. Trying is I go to a dietitian, I follow a regimental diet, I go get weighed once a week, I cut out, I follow a structure, I follow a plan. That's trying, you know. Sitting at night eating chocolates and chips, I can't turn around and say to someone I'm trying. That's a lie. You know, someone said I feel anonymous. I feel like I have a mindset of abundance at the moment, but I feel like I get easily demotivated. That's where I'm finding the problem. Sure, anonymous. So life is not easy. Just general being of in this times that we are living in, and people being so tense about money, and this is a time where we have to be working so hard on ourselves and being conscious, being so aware of looking after ourselves and the wellness of ourselves, so we are able to function at full capacity so we can overcome these difficult times. Abundance other than physical energy. Old body gets tired. I don't buy old. You're not much older than me. It's old mind. So change your mind. Scarcity, but fighting for abundance. Again, I don't know what your fight is. So you've got to write down, what are you going to do in practical terms? What are you going to do to get that abundance mindset? Need to stop being insane, start doing things differently. I like that. If it's not working, anonymous, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. So if it's not a good result and you're not happy with the result, then you need to start doing things differently. Love that. Thank you for sharing. Implanting tried and tested activities as a way of real estate. So implementation, absolutely anonymous. I love that. And then another anonymous, following the 1 to 31 and getting it up to date, back to basics, as Glenn alluded to. So thank you for the sharing. And it just was to have a conscious awareness of where you are holding in your lives on the scarcity mindset or the abundance mindset. And it's interesting, guys, you know, it's not only just aimed at real estate. For those of you who've known me for a long time, I'm very much into self-growth, working on oneself, having like a happy home, a happy life. Your home is your sacred space. Because if you can't get your life going and you can't be content with your lot, you're not going to have a successful business. It's impossible. The two go very much hand in hand. So I really hope it kind of gave you a lot of food for thought in that scarcity versus abundant mindset, because on those different levels of energy, there's a lot to really take in and work. And it's constant work in action. It's constant work in progress. It's not a, and there are days that you don't have to work on it. There's days that maybe you should just also just surrender and just be. You can't wake up every morning and be obsessed and neurotic about life and work. It's got to be balanced. You've also got to be gentle on yourselves. You've got to be kind to yourselves. You know, it can't just be all work, no play, or all play and no work. Just find a a balance that you can put your head on the pillow at night and just have a peaceful night's sleep and then face the day the next day. Just a lot of us need to be a little bit more gentle and a little bit more kind. I really, really believe that. I want to get into this mandate story for the next kind of 15, 20 minutes. So a lot of us have, we have spoken, even longer we can chat about it, because this is the real crunch. And I want to leave in the next 35 minutes an absolute clear understanding of the what's the word I'm thinking of? Not the argument. So it's basically the principles, there's a word, and I'm actually just so blank on the word. Benefits, perhaps, is the word that I'm thinking of. The benefits that a soul man, a lot of you have heard this before, so just if you know it, fantastic, but your results, and I say this respectfully, the results don't show it, because if I look at some of the offices, and we look at the next slide of how much stock you should have, and then kind of what kind of soul mandate ratio you should have. Why don't you go to the next slide, Care? So it's just to give you some thinking of where you are holding. So like, let's say a team has 20 listings, right? So there's something called, and some of you might not know this, I just want to move this away because it's in my way. Great. So it's called an exclusive soul mandate ratio. So Jawitz's value system and expectations are that each agent should have a 35% exclusive mandate ratio to their stock. So for an example, just to make an easy mathematical sum, for every 100 listings, you should have 35 soul mandates. If you've got 50 listings, then you should have 17.5 soul mandates. So you need to find out what is your exclusive soul mandate ratio. And if it's way under 35, you need to up your game in obtaining soul mandates. And perhaps we'll see when we go through some of the slides as to the arguments and the reasons why a soul mandate is the only route to go. Sorry, my dogs, I'm just there in the background somewhere. Excuse the noise now and again. Is the reasons why to push your exclusive soul mandate ratios up. So it is when you have a mindset of abundance, as I've said there, you become the market maker. If you're simply taking what the market will give you, well, then you're going to be the market taker. Okay, Cares, let's go. So we spoke about that, changing our mindset, about risk. Let's move on. There's a big risk, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk. So a lot of the stuff that we're actually discussing now, Annette put into that letter. So for those of you, we have a beautiful infographic that marketing designed quite a few years ago, and speak to your managers and they can get it from marketing. That really, I actually didn't put the infographic on the slide because I wanted to keep it very simple today. But these are the things that, again, we're sharing with you. If you don't believe these things, then you're not going to be able to persuade your clients. So, we always say only the persuaded can persuade. So if you walk away from today's session not believing that this is the route to go, then unfortunately you will not be able to persuade your clients that soul mandates is the only route to go if you want the best price for your home that the market will pay. So what is our job? What is our job as a real estate agent? It is to secure the best price that the market will pay in the shortest time period, hassle-free. I think that's our job description. So we want to save the seller or the lessor from aggravation. We want to make sure that the market has paid the best market price in the shortest time period, because the longer it sits on the market, it becomes overexposed. There's a confused market message, and the seller, the longer they sit, they often will get below market value. So number one, and this is the language we all need to be speaking in, is that a soul mandate protects the price of your home. Why don't you go to the next slide, Care? And what does that mean? So, before we talk about creating a platform of competition, if you deal with one captain of a ship, So there's one person that's driving the process of your biggest assets. Your price is being told by one agent. And as Annette alluded to in the letter to Kia, is that if there are numerous agents working on your home, we don't know what price they are telling the market. With one captain of the ship, there's one market price, and that's the message that is being conveyed to the market. So there's no market confusion, and it does protect the price of your home, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. A sole mandate creates a platform for competition between buyers to maximize value. So what happens is if you leave it on open mandate, all the agents are doing, as you see below, is a competition between agents. So the agents are just really fighting each other to get a quick deal. So it's a quick deal, a quick offer. Let's get this property sold. Your interests aren't really being protected. All that's being created is a platform of competition between agents. With the sole mandate, as your sole mandated agent, we have the time to create a platform of competition between the buyers in order to maximize the best value or the best price that the market will pay for your home. Next, Kes. So also what Annette alluded to in the letter is, again, it prevents the market confusion. Telling you now, agents speak different languages. That's what I always say. What do they say? So as an example, you, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, call me in to sell your home. You say to me, look, Joel, it's a very, very sensitive issue. We are immigrating. My husband's a doctor. He doesn't want people to know we're leaving. He doesn't want to lose his clients. If it's open to all the agents, how do they know that the one agent's not going to tell the buyers, listen, they're immigrating, I'm sure you'll pick up a good deal? So number one, their price is not being protected. Number two, it's not creating the platform of competition between the buyers. It's creating the platform of competition between the agents. With one captain of the ship, and you say to us, you don't want people to know you're immigrating, we can come up with a reason why you are selling, because buyers do want to know. It is a question, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that they do ask when they come into your home, and we just have to have a consistent, correct answer that we give them all the time. So there's no market confusion regarding your reasons for selling if they're confidential. This also prevents market confusion, as I discussed with you before, apropos the price. And basically, the price is everything. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at the next one. It ensures maximum, so I think there's an acronym on the next slide with time, which I've put there, which is great. It ensures maximum feedback and communication from the agent to you, which then enables you, the client, the seller, or the lessor. It's a bit different with rentals, guys, I know. And I've said this for years, and I'm going to say it again to the rental team. You know, we have a perception as a rental team that lessors don't sign sole mandates. But just a thought, do we even ask? Do we even try? Or do we already make up our own minds that lessors don't sign mandates? Because if it's really well priced, my guidance to the rental team is get a 48-hour sole mandate. If you know you've got 6 or 7 people that are going to come and view today, get a 48, 72-hour, 96, whatever, sole mandate. No one asks for it. Let's change the thinking of real estate. Why would you say because none of the other agents ask? Even more reason you should ask. Unless, again, it's your mindset and belief system that rental lessors don't sign sole mandates. I disagree. I remember many years ago when I had a few rental agents, they used to get a sole mandate for negotiating. They would get a sole mandate for negotiating. And that brings me to the sales agents. Let's say you've really, really done your best and you've worked a property really, really hard. You've given constant communication. You've really, really done everything. And the seller's just not signing. And it can happen, guys. It can happen a lot. We don't win all our battles. A lot of the time we end up working on open stock, and sometimes we sell and sometimes we don't. and that's again the risk that just comes part and parcel of this job, which we are willing to take if you've done everything in your power and you just can't get the sole mandate. I'm not going to be willing for you to take the risk if you haven't given 100% effort. Ina said something brilliant, and I'm going to say it in a moment. So it's the same as with the sales agents. If you just cannot get that sole mandate, we have at Jawitz Properties a template. I think it's a 10-day or 7-day, I stand to correction, sole mandate for negotiating purposes. And quite frankly, if you don't have a sole mandate when you get the offer, you need to phone the seller straight away or go and see them. I'm busy negotiating. I need a 10-day sole mandate. I'm going to talk about later there's also benefits to a purchaser. There's not only benefits to a seller, there are real benefits of a sole mandate to a purchaser and obviously to us, the agent, besides just the seller. So you need to have an obsession that when you get a written offer on a property and you don't have a sole mandate, you need to secure a short, can even be a 2-day. I've written 24-hour sole mandates just to protect my client and myself from being used. And that's really a belief system of that's the only way to do business. I'm not going to go and have put in really 6 months now. We've now got an offer for the seller. Now they're going to use my client and myself. Not on. So what I mean by being used. So what I mean by being used, Anonymous, is the following. Let's say you work on open mandate, right? And you bring the seller an offer of R1 million, and there's no mandate and it expires on Monday. What the seller's going to do is phone all the other agents and say, I've got an offer of R1 million. Is anyone still interested? And the offer's going to be used. Where there's just no control. It becomes like a market. And that's the last thing you want to do. You're going to have a very aggrieved buyer. You must cover yourself, though, and say to the buyer, I don't have a sole mandate if you don't. So just cover yourself, because buyers will always hold it against you. So if you cover yourself, that's great. As Ina said, and what I mentioned with the rentals, absolutely stand out from the rest. Be the rental agent that advises the landlords of the benefits to them. Definitely. A landlord would be very short-sighted not even to sign a 1-week mandate if you're taking a lot of tenants through the property, because it gives you a week to create a platform of competition between the tenants. All that happens is you just want to do the deal quickly before another agent rents it out, because rentals work a little bit differently to sales. It's very much more of a sense of urgency, happens within minutes. It can change, where sales, we do have a little bit more time. So yeah, absolutely, Ines. It definitely stands out from the rest. I would put money on the table right now that other rental agents are not even discussing any kind of mandates with landlords. And I already think we should even be talking about a 2-week. I don't think even long, because if you know rental guys, if you've got a well-priced property on the rental market, you'll rent it out within a couple of days. So 2 weeks is adequate. So it ensures the maximum feedback, as I said, and communication on a sole mandate from the agent to you to help you make the best informed decisions. I think the next slide, Care, is that acronym of TIME. So it optimizes exposure and marketing opportunities for your property. So what does that mean? With the sole mandate, we can do a featured listing. The problem with that, I find as well as an agent, is anyone really will do a featured listing. So not so much of an amazing argument, but could work. So I would try it. And then have a look at the next slide there. I think it's an acronym for TIME. I think it's going to come up. All right. So yeah, there it is. It's let me just find it there, Kez, if you can just see. I'm sure there was an acronym for TIME. It's just, yeah, there we go. So it's basically the T is the time is spent on working the property. The information is the communication and constant feedback to the client. That, it's funny as an agent, when you take on that responsibility of taking the sole mandate, you do feel like you have this absolute sense of commitment and responsibility to give feedback a lot quicker to the client than versus an open. I mean, that is my understanding as an agent. Like, I feel obliged that because they've given me their commitment, I've got to give them feedback a lot quicker. I know our team and my teams in Bedford View work a lot harder in the sense of communication, the real feedback, the right strategies, the right advice to the clients versus open. We're not that invested and interested in open. Obviously, we keep the door open because we'd be short-sighted not to list everything, but our real time, energy, effort, and money is really spent on soul mandates. There, the money is spent and the effort is definitely 100% expended. Care, why don't you go to that slide, sweetheart, if you can, just with those 5 reasons. I just want to put them all into a, there we go, just to put it all into a visual that you can see it under one thing, and just to repeat myself for one moment. So soul mandates are the route to go. Why? It protects the price of your home, which we spoke about, the best possible price the market will pay. It creates a platform of competition between buyers to maximize value, versus just the competition between the agents that want to get a quick offer and do the deal. We spoke about it prevents market confusion because agents will speak different languages. It ensures maximum feedback and communication from the agent to you to help you make the best informed decisions, and then it optimizes exposure and marketing opportunities for your property. The agent expends the time, money, and effort. Care, find the slide for me, hun, on the benefits to a purchaser, because there are benefits of a soul mandate to a purchaser, and that is very, very, very important. You know, we only think, there we go, we only think, there it was, Care's the one before. We only think of reasons for a seller. Let me tell you, so when my agents go in for a soul mandate pitch, they say to the seller often, and let me tell you, other agents are not using this pitch, eh? They're saying, listen, Mr. Seller, listen, Mrs. Seller, buyers feel more comfortable dealing with an agent with a soul mandate, and that is truthful. And you must say to the seller, put yourself in the buyer's shoes, wear the buyer's hat, and if you were the buyer, you would feel more comfortable. What does that mean? And we said their offer will not be used. Often we'll get an offer from a buyer on an open mandate, and then we come in there 3 days later and they've sold the property for even less than what we've got. So it didn't protect the seller. The buyer was then angry with us. Buyers want to feel led by us. If they trust the agent, and there's the word trust in the Scrabble in the top right corner, buyers, if they trust us, will walk that extra mile with us. They will hold our hand and will be able to hopefully negotiate and try and get the price up, because buyers buy up. So a buyer definitely feels more comfortable with an agent who has a soul mandate, because their offer will not be used again, and they have trust in the transaction. So a lot of people don't, a lot of agents don't use that clause. Hey, I think it's really, really powerful. You need to start using it and telling the seller to put themselves in the shoes of the buyer. And then, Cares, won't you just show me us the benefits for the agent? There should be benefits there for the agents. Okay, we spoke, I can't hold that. Okay, we spoke about converting open to soul. That's fine. Even rentals to soul. Okay, cool. Let's just have a look. A lot of the stuff is also in our Real Guide, Eskil's unbelievable handbook with all the information there. Okay, if it's not there, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is, I'll tell you all of this. The benefits for you is you are just working on massive, and keep that, Care, thanks. You are just working on massive high risk. High risk in the sense of not even trying to secure the soul mandate, even for 1 day, 2 days when you get the offer. Remember, when you've got to pay your school fees and you've got to pay your varsity fees and your bond and your car repayments, Standard Bank or FNB are not going to take payment in intention or effort. They're only going to take payment in cash, which equals results. So the question we ask is, how do you convert an open mandate to a soul mandate? You've just got to work that property from beginning to middle to end with constant communication. I think that's where a lot of it lacks in this industry of ours, where how often do you walk into a home and they say, I'm not signing a mandate because I never ever heard from the other agent. They never gave me feedback. I didn't know what was going on. And that's often the case. So if you can constantly romance, we call it romance the seller, taking the buyers through, taking the tenants through, giving constant communication and feedback. And if you have a genuine seller, and in time, when they are ready to sign a sole mandate, we hope it's going to be you that they choose. It's the same as converting rental listings to sales. Often lessors are unable, and again, this is no disrespect at all intended on the rental division, because if a seller would rather sell versus a rental, that's where it would go first. And vice versa, if they can't sell, then they'll rent it. So it's amazing. But you need to also be having these conversations with the lessors to discussing, are they sure that they do not want to obviously rather sell? And guys, you've got to give the right advice. It's not because we want the sell, we want the rental. You've got to listen to what your client's needs are, and you've got to manage their needs and manage their expectations. And often it's better for the client to rent out the property versus selling their property. I just want to go to the chat group because I want you to put down some questions just to end off, if you don't mind. I just want to make sure that I've really, really encompassed everything that we were supposed to chat to today about being the market maker versus the market taker. We spoke about the mindset of abundance versus your mindset of scarcity. Some of you are saying you are working on changing, and I'm saying, well, what is it that you actually are doing about it? And I use the example of a diet. So if you're eating chocolate every night, your scarcity mindset is going to remain scarce versus being thin or overweight. So that was really, I thought, something very much a big take home, to start looking and taking inventory in your personal lives and in your business lives. We then spoke about sphere of influence, of how connected are you to your sphere of influence, your 1 to 31s, when you're finally sitting in that mandate presentation, the 5 big take homes of information to persuade your sellers that a sole mandate is really the route to go. Annette also alluded to it in the letter, and I do bring it up sometimes, and there is that real thing of double commission, guys. Often someone will bring in Mr. Smith and someone will take Mrs. Smith, and if the Smiths do buy, there is a problem. So it really alleviates any potential double commission claim, and I think that can be brought up in certain situations. I think it's very, very key and very, very vital. And again, I can talk until the cows come home, and don't worry, I won't. We're going to be ending in the next 10 minutes. I've said it before and I'll say it again, only the persuaded can persuade. So if you've written copious notes and you've really had a gaggle of goosies or a light bulb moment, then I really think you need to start putting these things into action, and you need to start analyzing where you're going wrong. I think there's a little bit of time to chat, and I wouldn't mind chatting about certain objections that we have from the sellers, so we can really make this training an absolute wrap. So Kev, if you can just try and find that slide about the objections. I've got them down anyway, but if you can just find it. Someone said, my friend's sister's cousin's daughter. God, let me just try and comprehend that. My friend's sister's cousin's daughter is a real estate agent with a blue company, so they also have to be, okay, yeah, brilliant. So thank you. We're going to answer that question now. So, okay, so it's all a hypothetical. Absolutely. So they do. So one of the objections in a sole mandate is my friend's sister's cousin's daughter is a real estate agent at the blue company. So you've got to be careful never to berate the opposition. You must be very cautious never to berate. You must be very cautious to be professional at all times. Cannot say bad things, but what you can say is that your friend's sister's cousin's daughter, I don't think has an X amount of market share like we do. So if you have a big market share, use it to your advantage. But if they're not in the area, I think you need to say, look, with respect, they're not in the area, but what I'm prepared to do in the sole mandate, what's her name? And I'll say her name's Cinderella. So should Cinderella, you'll write this in the mandate, should Cinderella have a buyer, they must contact Joel from Jawitz, and we will do a commission split with them. So it's all about showing the seller intention and good faith, that we're not, if they think that their friend's sister's cousin's daughter is going to bring a buyer, they sell in Mikey's Fontaine and this house is in Sandhurst, the buyers are very, very different. So, but in intention and good faith, write it into the mandate. Write it into the mandate. And then let's just have a look at the, sorry, we're going to look now at the final poll in a moment. I'm going to finish with the objections. So that's one objection. The other objection would be, I've had a bad experience before and I don't want to sign a mandate and I don't want to be tied in. Why don't you give them that they can give you notice? If they are not happy with your service, they can give you 2 days notice and you'll cancel the mandate. That's how confident you are. If you are, because I don't know if you are. So if you are confident that a sole mandate is the only route to go, then put your money where your mouth is and say, I will give you a undertaking that should you not be happy with my service or delivery, you can give me a 48-hour termination. That takes huge kahunas, huge courage, because then you know you are going to deliver. Sellers, if I don't give my listing to other agents, I'll miss out on their listing of buyers. Yeah, good one. I often say more agents, more buyers. It is such a misnomer. It is such a misnomer. So you say to your seller, put yourself in the buyer's shoes. If you were looking in this area of Pofadder where you're selling and you're looking around 2 million Rand, digital marketing where Jawitz are huge on and you show them your presentation, we will never miss a buyer. So it's an absolute misnomer and a myth. The more agents, the more buyers. As I've explained to you, Mrs. Seller, in the presentation, the more agents, these are the negatives that will come out of the situation. So we have the buyers that are looking in Pofadder, whether they phone me on Monday morning and the other agent on Monday afternoon, a genuine buyer will find all the agents who are active in their area, and we are active in their area. And the bad experience before, don't even waste your time in trying to convince them there and then on a mandate. Win their trust, win them over, romance them, and when they are ready to sign again, hopefully it is going to be with you. Care, can we look at that last poll's results, if you don't mind? So we can just have a squiz. We didn't discuss them, and then we're going to end off, guys, and I really hope it's been beneficial. And I really hope you've taken some big take homes from this. And there's a lot of business to be done. And you need the protection. The seller needs a protection. And the buyer needs the protection.
Sorry, Joel, do you want
yes.
the actual results or are you talking about the final poll, just the feedback poll?
Yeah. Did we not discuss the last one? I think we did.
We did.
Oh, no, Ines had sent me a message, but maybe
I asked her to.
Oh, no, sorry, we have done it. Great.
You just got one more poll to do.
Yeah, so correct. So we've got one more poll. If you guys could just answer, thank you so much. There's one left. Take care. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Justin. Thanks, Jen. It's amazing. Sherry last just ask Kerry and she'll send it to you with pleasure, not a problem. If you can just fill out, guys, we love your feedback. We take it seriously. We love to always improve. There's no perfection. What did you think about the format of today's training? You can just answer poor, good, or excellent. Was there enough structure in the session for you to extract the salient points? Yes or no, and rate the content of the training. I wish you well. Please be safe. COVID-19 is upon us. The third wave is slowly climbing. Please wear your masks. Please use your sanitizers. Protect your loved ones. Protect yourself. Protect your clients. Be a distance from your clients and wear your masks. That's your most important thing. Be positive. My blessing to all of you is as follows. May you have the courage of your conviction, and courage is the operative word of creating mindsets of abundance. Look after yourself. Abundance to you all. God bless. Bye-bye.